This is the Power Hacksaw rebuild. I bought this Power Hacksaw for $20 from a guy I know. I've already got it apart. I didn't think about making a video until I just took it apart. So forgive me for that. But you will see me rebuild it. Some things I've already discovered. It had a lot of bolts missing, and so it was tweaked a bit. This slide has a lot of movement in it. May have to do something there. I also would like it if when it went down, and I think that's what this lever's for, although I have to do some research. When it went down all the way, I'd like it to hit the switch. The switch is laying off to the side right now. It's just the toggle switch. And I'd like for it to hit the switch and shut itself off, basically. So I'm going to strip it down some more and clean it all up. I mean, there is a lot of grease on this thing. But I'm going to get it sparkly clean. I'm going to have to build a vise or find a vise for it because it's missing. Shouldn't be too difficult, but I'll figure something out. I don't know if you've tried this WD-40 machine and engine degreaser, but it really works well, and it has a rather pleasant odor. It does come out of that can really hard, but has a pleasant odor. I like it. Smells good. Doesn't stink up the shop. Try it. It's I'm using it on the Power Hacksaw to clean it up. Just a word of advice. After cleaning the Power Hacksaw, I ran across the sticker with the model number on it. Thank goodness. The Power Hacksaw is completely cleaned and disassembled. Now to put it back together. The motor from the Power Hacksaw was moving in and out quite a little bit. And so when I took it all apart, I discovered that on the inside, the little keeper was pushed way back against the armature. And if that's the correct word, that's what I call it. And so I got one, and I'm going to stick it in there, and hopefully that'll fit. This is the power cord and plug that came with the Power Hacksaw. There's the neutral, the silver's the neutral, I think, and the brass is the hot wire. But what you can see here is the neutral and the ground are twisted together, and there's nothing on the ground wire. Now, if my plug-ins, I wired my plug-ins myself, but if they were not wired correctly, then I could have zapped myself plugging this in when I tested this. You're not supposed to do that. There's 3 wires, there's 3 plugs for a purpose. The ground is always separate, it's always the frame ground and never tied to the neutral, even though in the box, in your breaker box, your neutral and ground are tied together. That does not mean you can tie them together everywhere else. That's just wrong. I have the motor rewired now. It's wired properly. I've got a ground. It's hooked to the motor frame. Right there, you can see it. There'll be a second ground at the switch that will be grounding the power hacksaw itself. That way, everything is grounded. I used, I call them stake-ons, and there were posts to slide them on. I like that much better than wrapping the wire around the nuts like it was before. So everything's separated like it should be. Everything's wired correctly. I utilized the hole for the wiring with the clamp. Before they routed the wires through the bottom there, through those 2 ground holes. I call them ground holes. And so now the motor's wired correctly and it is running. I also had to take a file to the shaft because it was bunged up enough that the pulley wouldn't go back on correctly. That's it. In the process of rewiring the power hacksaw, I'm going to run the wire underneath. I use these clamps I got from Harbor Freight. Clamp them onto the bolts, run it underneath. If you remember right, there's a picture at the beginning of this video that shows the wire monstrosity that that came with this power hacksaw, and I'm trying to make that a little better by running the wires underneath. They run up. I drilled a couple of holes, put some grommets in there. There's the incoming wire hole, is the one without a wire in it, and this is the motor wire hole. This will hook to the switch that goes in that hole right there. Is that switch. And believe it or not, that little lever will flip out when it gets to the bottom of his stroke and shut off the switch, which I thought was very ingenious. Hopefully I'll have a video of that later on. To drill that hole, is a 9/16 hole with a grommet in it there. I used that step drill. First time I've used one of these. It's one of the cheapies from Harbor Freight. I was pleasantly surprised at how well it drilled through this 3/32 metal. You can see it right there. Fairly thick. Hopefully the next time you see me, I will be running this baby. It lives!